tuned in to TC McCarthy, the most handsome and entertaining science fiction author on video. Hey, thanks again for watching. This is another of my Tyger Burning series. My new book, Tyger Burning, is going to be available on July 2019, but that doesn't mean that you can't pre-order it now. In fact, that would help me a lot if you did. I mentioned why, in this video right here. Now, what are we talking about today? Well, I used to be an avid game player, things like Dungeons and Dragons. Well, imagine that, I'm a nerd of Dungeons and Dragons, but one of my favorite game systems was from Games Workshop called, or actually I think it was Games Designer Workshop, GDW, and it's called Traveler. Now, if you're a fan of Traveler, you remember one of the weapons that they have in there is this auto grenade launcher, a 40mm handheld auto grenade launcher. And when you look at the Traveler miniatures, it's usually this thing that sits on the user's shoulder, pull the trigger, and all these 40mm grenades go out arcing over to your enemy. And everybody has been wondering, when can we get something like that? Now, there's this Mark 9 grenade launcher that is vehicle mounted that we use today, 40mm, and it's similar in the sense that it's fully automatic. Then you've got, I don't know what it's called, but it looks like a handheld grenade launcher that has a barrel arrangement with each pull of the trigger, a new grenade pops over, and you basically fire off several grenades. It's revolver-like in its construction. And I apologize if you hear the dogs in the background. I'm going to go ahead and make this video through the noise of the dogs. Those guys are crazy. But anyway, the Army actually came up with a system that almost is similar to this concept of the auto grenade launcher, handheld man portable, and it was this XM25 system. If you've heard of it, I think they called it the Punisher. It's been in development for years, since the early 2000s, and the Army eventually gave up on it, but they haven't given up completely. And I love this thing because it's one of the types of things I'd love to have in my science fiction books. It's high time that the Army came up with something like this that basically is a counter-defilade system, so that even if your target is hidden behind a wall, even if it's defilated behind something like a wall or embankment, you can fire these grenades, and instead of having to arc them over just the right trajectory, you can fire them straight on. And the weapon, the actual grenade itself, knows when it reaches the distance to detonate overhead, so that somebody behind the wall has a very bad day when shrapnel starts raining down from directly above. Now, the idea of the XM25 is, again, to have basically a handheld unit with a magazine full of these 25mm grenades. The different grenade choices that an individual soldier could have range anything from high explosive grenades to training grenades. And the idea with the high explosives is if a target is behind a window in a building or behind a wall, you first finger the laser range fire to get the precise range to the target. Then you fire the weapon and fire the grenade. The grenade actually receives from the rangefinder the range, and it knows how many spins equate, because this thing spins as it's going like a rifle bullet, knows how many spins equate to the precise range that you basically got from your laser rangefinder, and then it will detonate however far beyond that range you tell it to. So it'll go through the window, detonate on the other side of the window, and give everyone behind it a rain of shrapnel. Those are the ones that are currently fielded for testing. In addition to those, the Army imagined several different other types of grenades to include armor-piercing ones, less than lethal grenades, and those less than lethal actually include two blunt, so I imagine rubber kind of bullets kind of thing, and then airburst ones that are less than lethal. Maybe they would contain tear gas or something like that. And door-breaching grenades for those situations where knocking down doors could be very, very difficult and a shotgun won't do the job. Now, the Army had originally intended this to be a quote-unquote leap-ahead system, and they tested it over and over again and actually got to the point where they fielded it with special forces. The most recent experience in testing this in the field in Afghanistan, I believe, resulted in an unfortunate malfunction where it almost killed the user. That person did survive and was okay, but I imagine it was a very scary experience. I don't know the details, but I'm guessing that it basically blew up in his hands. Not a good thing for a weapon system if you're somebody on the ground, especially special forces, and you need that thing to work. The other problem that they had with this system is that the developers promised that there would be some sort of close-in grenade that could be used to, if in case your unit was getting overrun, you could fire this thing like a shotgun or something like that. I would imagine some sort of flechette type delivery, and it was never delivered. So basically, if you got in an overrun situation, those HE grenades that you were shooting out, they will not detonate until they get a certain distance away. So if you've got somebody really close, basically you're using this thing as a really crappy rifle instead of a grenade launcher, and that just doesn't cut it. Plus, they don't want to have people basically carry this heavy grenade system along with a M16 kind of assault rifle, it just gets too much. That's too much weight. It's not what it was designed for. The Army wanted something that was all in one, and that's not what they were getting, so they pulled the plug. Now, that is bad news. The good news is they haven't pulled the plug entirely. They've still got the designs and systems. They own it, and they could resurrect it at any time, and there are a number of people who would like them to. And I think that these problems that they described could be overcome. These seem like the type of things that maybe they were pushed too fast and too far, and that with time and proper engineering, you could develop a system, I hope, that wouldn't blow up in your face, and that could deliver something flechette-wise for close-in kind of actions. Anyway, that's all I've got. If you know anything more about the XM25, please give it to me below in the comments. End transmission. Hey, TC McCarthy here, the most eclectic and entertaining science fiction author on YouTube, maybe even the internet. Thanks for watching this video. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. As usual, buy my books. I've got a new one coming out in July, and I'll have a giveaway coming up soon, so stay tuned for that. Appreciate you subscribing to my channel, and please, 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 please don't forget to click that little bell icon so that whenever I upload new content, you get notified. Thanks again. See you soon.